as you guys may know, if you even slightly know who I am, you guys probably know that there are some arguments that some people tend to make that really get under my skin, and one of the biggest ones for me is the "it's just a kid show" argument. I've made plenty of videos talking about this argument, explaining why I think it's just a horseshit defense mechanism or shield, or it's just a really bad argument all around. However, now that I'm going back to think about this, I think there is an argument that I find even more infuriating than the "it's just a kid show" argument. You may be surprised on what this one is, but yeah, I think it's even worse, not only because it just completely dismisses a show's quality, or it just means, oh, it doesn't have to try at all, or, oh, this thing can't be good because it insert thing here. Well, anyways, here is the argument that I am talking about. So, what is this argument that I find to be even worse than the "it's just a kid show" argument? Well, here it is. The argument that I find even worse than the "it's just a kid show" argument. Let's get a little drum roll here. It is. Yep. You probably did not expect this one to be here at all, but yes, it is the "this was made to sell toys" argument. Yeah, this argument, this just fucking boils my blood, and one of the biggest reasons why, well, we'll get into the main points in a second, but one thing that I hate about this argument is, it's the reason why I find it even worse than the "it's just a kid show" argument is people use this reason or this argument for everything, not just kids shows or kids items or kids products or whatever the fuck. Like, these people use this for everything. Like, if they just see someone maybe praising a show that they don't like, or if the show or whatever product even has like a hint of freaking merchandise, or is making a lot of money in profit off of merch, these people will be like, oh, well, clearly this show's only intent, or this product's only intent, was just to sell toys. That's clearly its only intent. Like, clearly there's nothing other than that as to why it's popular. It's just, this is made to sell toys. And again, I just fucking hate this shit. Now, there is a reason why I wanted to make this video, but we'll get into that towards the end of the video. But first, I am going to tell you why the "it was made to sell toys" argument is a horseshit argument. Anyways, let's get into the reasons. Well, this one should be a very simple one. Yeah, a show wanting to make toys or sell merchandise, that has nothing to do with the actual show's quality. So, yeah, if you've been in an argument with these types of people, one thing they'll commonly try to open up an argument with is saying some shit like, if you've seen the show, you can clearly tell that their intent was to make toys and sell merchandise and stuff like that. And the way that I would describe it, it's basically the equivalent of an ad hominem attack. If you don't know what an ad hominem attack is, to put it into an example, let's just say you and someone are arguing about, like, political shit, or, like, Bernie Sanders, or some random shit like that, and then you provide an argument or something, and then the other person responds with, so, like, well, you're a liberal, so your arguments are automatically invalid. Like, that's like the whole "this was made to sell toys" thing. That's the equivalent of that. They don't try to debunk anything someone else has to say, or they don't even try to talk about the actual show itself and try to even try to explain why the show is either fundamentally flawed, has issues. They just point to, oh, it was just trying to sell merchandise, and that's all they fucking say about the show. So, bottom line, if you don't like a show, try to find reasons why you don't like it. Don't just, like, your main argument shouldn't be "it's just made to sell toys." Anyways, now on to the next reason. Okay, this is the type of shit that also makes these people sound dumb. Whenever people say some shit like, this show they just wanted to sell toys with this, people bring this up like it's some fucking taboo thing that's never been done before with any other show in existence, and it's like, dude, every single show that has been made ever has at least some intent on wanting to sell toys or merchandise. Maybe it might not be the top priority, but I'm sure pretty much every show's creator or just people behind the show, they maybe want at least some intent on wanting to make some merchandise off of the show or make like some type of toys or something like that. Let's take a cartoon for instance, like Invader Zim. Look at how much merchandise has been made off of that show. Again, it's mainly based on Dur stuff, but still, there is a lot of freaking merchandise that has been made off of Invader Zim, and I'm sure that's probably what the creators or like the writers or the people or the team behind the show probably may have wanted. They probably wanted to at least want some fans to have some merchandise based off the show or stuff like that. And let's take a pretty huge one like Pokemon. Look at how much, again, merchandise has been made off that show, whether it be toys, trading cards, there's just, and like t-shirts, like merch, and just other merchandise. Again, the show is pretty freaking huge, and again, I'm sure that's what the creators behind Pokemon may have wanted. Again, and again, it's not even their main, like, most people, when, like, do you really think that when people are creating shows, like, the sole thing in the back of their mind when they're writing the show or making, or, like, trying to produce the show or something like that, I'm sure their main reason isn't just some shit like, man, I hope when this is put out, I hope that it just people just buy the toys and I don't even give a shit about its quality. Like, again, no one's gonna have that freaking mentality, but, yeah, I think the segment's been fairly long. Now it's time to move on to reason 3, and this is the big one that I think people need to take into account. Now, this is without a doubt the biggest reason why I freaking hate this argument, and it's also a very similar reason to the it's just a kid's show argument as well. The thing is, even if, like, let's say this thing is true and the person, like, the creators' main intent was to sell toys, the show can still be good even if it was made to sell toys. And again, this is kind of a similar, again, reason to the first reason, how it has nothing to do with the show's quality, but again, like, even if the person or the creators want to sell toys, they can still put in a lot of effort to actually make something good out of it. And this also leads into a bit of a loophole, I guess you'd say. Like, I've heard so many people talk about Western cartoon cliches or something like that, and how they hate the cliche that I don't like it when a show's based on, when they make a movie or something based off a toy line. And it's like, again, like, it can still be good. I mean, there have been good products based on either toy lines or some type of outside piece of media. Like, I mean, look at the Lego movie. That movie was based on Legos, and it ended up being a pretty solid movie. I'm just saying, like, people act like if a show it has any intent to sell toys whatsoever, it's like the product is dead on arrival, like, right when it comes out of, like, right when it's made. Like, dude, that's not the case. A show can still be freaking great even if it is based off of a toy line or some action figures or just anything. You can make a good show out of anything, and any show or any piece of media can be good. You just have to put effort into it. Now, you guys have definitely heard from the previous 3 reasons I've gave, and throughout the earlier parts of the video, I just really cannot fucking stand this argument. Now, you also may be asking, Malachi, why did you even want to make this video? Well, here is the biggest reason why. Okay, I'm just gonna be completely frank here, and you guys can probably guess what the reason could be if you've seen my freaking Yu-Gi-Oh versus Pokemon video. I'll link to that in the description. Let's get that shameless plug out of the way, but yeah, it's a comment from someone that or a couple comments actually, from someone who I usually do like seeing in my comment section, I do have respect for, but sometimes, man, sometimes he can make some of the, like, he can have some of the shittiest takes I've ever seen. If you're asking who I'm talking about, it's James Borland. Now, Again, usually I really like seeing James in my comments, and I'm not gonna lie, from time to time he can make some really good arguments when it comes to either shows or media or stuff like that, but there are those comments that I get from him that do make me really either shake my head or just really make me look sideways. Like, what's even the point here? Like, another one of them, he said that he doesn't care if a show has depth, which I mean, that's really freaking weird. But the reason why I wanted to make this video is specifically when it comes to his take on Ben 10, and yeah, let's just get right into it. So I did pull two comments that he has referencing or talking about Ben 10 in some regard, and the first thing he said, at least in the old comment, like that, again, this was a take he actually shared a while back, but yeah, he said part of the reason why he doesn't like Ben 10 is that it is really generic and it feels like every other kids action show and it follows a checklist to be like them. And again, he said the show feels basic, and he's been really vague about this stuff, and I haven't really heard any really good reasons like actually talking about the show. But again, that is his opinion, and even if he is being vague, I'm not like bashing him for that. Although it's in the second comment that I've heard him say, and also to the first one to an extent, that really did now, at least nowadays, made me question, like, how is this a horrible thing? Now, he's described Ben 10 and also a lot of like 90s action shows as they don't live up to their potential or they suck because they were made to sell toys. Now, I'm not gonna lie, if this came out of anyone else's mouth and I had like no idea on what their other opinions or takes were, then I wouldn't have as much of an issue with it, and I'd kind of just ignore it. I'd be like, yeah, I'd be annoyed, but I wouldn't look too deep into it or anything like that. But I think what makes this take even worse coming from James is he's been there and has seen my videos talking about the it's just a kids show stuff, and he's agreed with me there that just because a show is a kids show doesn't mean it can't be good, or just because it was made with kids in mind, or it could be even directly aimed at kids, that doesn't mean that it can't be good, or that's not a reason to just completely dismiss a show. And that's a question I like to ask to you, James. Like, if a show being for kids doesn't excuse it from being bad, or just because it's a kids show doesn't mean it can't be good, then why can't it be the same case for shows that may have had an intent to sell toys? Like, again, I just think it's really dumb. Like, if a show can be good and can be aimed at kids, then how come a show being made with the intent to sell toys, how come that can't be good? And again, I think the way that I think a simpler way of putting this into words would be in this quote: to people who say that this show was just made to sell toys, well, every show under the sun has been made with some intent to sell toys, and a lot of them can be good, so what is your point? Anyways, that is all I would like to say for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I am Malachi, and see you guys in the next video, and it hopefully won't be as overly opinionated as this one is.